So on the EURJPY, it's been a while since I traded the EURJPY actually. So we would want to scale up into the higher time frame so that we can see things from an holistic standpoint. We want to see the major direction of price action on this one. So we shall be scaling into the daily time frame, and in fact, we will see let me take out all these ones. We will see that prices at a phenomenal high at this point in time, where we have price at the highest zone it could be for this year. And the first thing we would observe on the daily time frame is the fact that price action is very bullish. And for the fact that it is bullish, we have higher highs and higher lows. The next thing we want to be doing is to connect the series of higher lows here to give us an ascending trend line to work with. So if we connect the series of higher lows here, we have this. Let's mark this out like this. So we should be having, all right. So we thicken this a little bit to emphasize its importance in this particular market. So we have a beautiful ascending trend line. So when we bring out our candle chart, let's do some little adjustments to have this connecting with the pivot lows. So we have a couple of ascending trend line which we are going to be using to guide our trading activities going forward. Now, in addition to that trend line, we would need a key level that will be serving as a parameter to guide our trading activity. And in fact, we have a key level at a psychological point, which is at the 158.00 area, which is a strong psychological level considering the round figure of that price. So we shall be labeling this one as the 158.00 level. So you want to be marking that one out on your chart too, as well, as we will be needing it to guide our trading activity for this week. So as long as price remains above the 158, we will continue to look out for buying opportunity. Now, with this information we have on the daily time frame, we would like to scale down to a much more lower time frame to see things more clearly and see how participant in this market has been reacting to this current zone. So I'm scaling down into the 4 hours time frame here. So let me adjust this one a little bit so that we can see. Okay, so we have the 158 around here. Then we also have since the beginning of this month, it's quite clear that price has been bullish. So we have a couple of trend lines which we are going to be using to guide us. So we have this one right here. That's the major trend line. Then we saw a deviation from that trend line during the second week of this month, giving us something like this to work with. So I will reduce the pixel on this one. So we have a couple of trend lines here on the 4 hours time frame. All right. So price still remains very bullish. Looking at the 4 hours time frame, then we have the highest point for price situated at the 159.250 level. So I will be giving this a different color. So we have the 159.250 level. Let me put that one right there. So ensure that you are marking out these levels on your chart. So we have I'll give it a purple color instead to differentiate it from the previous levels. Aha, so here we are on the 1 hour time frame. And if we look at what has been going on here since the early hours of today, you will see that price action is currently ranging, is currently range bound at this point, so which further emphasize the level of indecision at this point in time. So since the beginning of this week, I would like to give this a wine color. Let's separate it from the previous. So we have 158.850 158.850 level. Please do mark these levels out. They will become important very soon, as you will see as it gradually unfolds. Then we have the 158.200 level, another psychological area considering the round figure of that price. Here we go. So now we have a beautiful flat channel to work with for today. Now, you know how we do it whenever we have this simple kind of range where price action is caught within the 158.850 and the 158.200 area. We want to remain very patient, waiting for a signal to come in the form of either a breakout of the resistance line, something like this breakout retest to join a bullish momentum, or the breakdown retest of structure to join a bearish momentum. Now, with the situation we have here, price still remains above that ascending trend line. Remember, we had this ascending trend line which has been supporting this recent momentum since the beginning of this month. And as long as price remains above this trend line, you know that we have no business selling the EURJPY for today. So with this scenario in place, we shall be looking out for buying opportunities above the 158.850. So we're going to be looking out for buying opportunities here, breakout, retest of structure, then we join that move to the upside. And if price action continues in such a way that it breaks out of the 159.250, which happens to be the highest point price action has been for this year, then we shall be looking out to add more position to our existing trade. Now, in as much as we're looking out for buying opportunities in this particular market, you know how we do it in this community. We also want to keep tabs on the potentials of sellers coming in at this point in time. Now, another thing I would like us to leverage on here is the psychological aspect of this market. Now, for the fact that price action has just tested a new high at the 159.250 last week, when price action finds a new high, it's a very uncomfortable area for those who are holding buy positions, as any slight selling pressure around this area could incite a huge sell-off. And from a psychological perspective, when price action is around a new high, we always see this reflection of the fear and indecision in the market on the chart as choppy situation, consolidation phases before participant get acclimatized to that price level, then we could see an uptrend continuation. So we want to consider the potentials of sellers too, considering the emotions that there will be some fear and indecision going on around this area, considering the fact that it's a new high for the EURJPY. So because of that scenario, we want to consider selling opportunities too as well. Now, if we are going to be selling the EURJPY, what is it that we want to see on this chart that will make us change our bias from bullish to bearish? Now, for me to sell the EURJPY today, I would want to see price action break down this ascending trend line which we spotted earlier, remember? So if price breaks down the ascending trend line, then we will start considering selling. But remember that we are not having a sell stop order below the structure, as we will need some confirmations to happen, giving us the confidence that truly sellers are here to dictate the pace. And for us to see a confirmation here, we will need price action to break down. Then we scale down into the lower time frame to look out for confirmations that buyers are finding it difficult to climb back above that ascending trend line, which of course would reflect on the chart as continued retest of that ascending trend line. Then we can join a bearish move to the downside. But at this point in time, we don't know how far that bearish momentum will go. Is it going to stop at the 158.00 area to incite an uptrend continuation, or is it going to stop in the in the ascending trend line we identified earlier to incite an uptrend continuation, or probably break down and incite a sell-off in this particular market? So in the meantime, we want to be very not too ambitious here if any selling opportunity comes in. So let's look at what we have if sellers come in. So we have a minimum of 60 to a max of about 120 pips, and if price goes on to further break down that ascending trend line, we'll be looking out for more opportunities to sell. So for us to capitalize on the selling opportunities here, so we have a level around the 158.550, which we shall be using to join any bearish momentum in this particular market. So I'll give this a darker color. So let's have this like this. So we name it 158.550. So we'll give it a dark color too. So this is what we are going to be using to guide any selling opportunities in this market. So breakdown retest of the 158.550 will welcome selling opportunities. And if price action goes on to break down the support line at the 158.200, we'll be adding more position to our existing trade. And one interesting thing about the 158.550 is the fact that it also shares a beautiful confluence with that ascending trend line. So if price breaks down the ascending trend line, then we shall see this as a sign that the trend line may no longer have the capacity to continue to negate that bearish attempt. Then we want to join the bearish move. And personally, I will be aiming at an area around that ascending trend line for my TP target. And if price action goes on to break down, then we shall be looking out for more opportunities to sell the EURJPY. So at this point in time, it's a simple setup we have here. So you do want to be marking out those levels on your chart. Our center of focus right now is simply between the 158.850 and the 158.550 level, where depending on how price action reacts to the zone will determine where our next line of action will be. So please don't forget, we are using the 158.850 as a yardstick to guide a bullish momentum. A further breakout of the 159.250 will welcome more buying opportunities, while we are using the 158.550 and the ascending trend line here to guide any selling opportunities, where a further breakdown of the 158.200 and the 158.00 level will be welcoming more opportunities to sell the EURJPY for today. So these are my views here on the EURJPY. I hope Fisherman 420 is in the house, and let's see if you have any questions as regards to this current setup. Let me know quickly in the comment section before we draw the curtain for today's trading session. So let's see what we have here. So I will be waiting for any questions as regards to the setup. So I will be taking the next 10-15 seconds off, and you can as well use that time to mark out those levels on your chart, as you will be needing it as a reference point to guide your trading activities.